Hey everybody, welcome back into the Live and Learn podcast. Hope you're doing well on this Monday, April the 14th. It's it's fun to be back doing this with all of you. I've been off for close to a month. Had to move apartments rather quickly, had a leak. That was a quick yet a good learning experience. Get tenant insurance if you live in an apartment. Just a note for everybody. But through all of that, to be honest, I thought, beginning of March, it might have been the last podcast for me. I really enjoy doing this, but I also enjoy, being honest with all of you. I thought it could be it. I've been doing this since November of 2020. I love sports, and yet I felt as though I was missing something, that I didn't have that same passion, that same fervor as I once did. And I considered, stopping because, life goes on and you got to think about options and things of that nature. And for the first time in my life last month, I went a week without watching a sport. I took an entire week off, and it was an interesting experience. It was my version of, withdrawals, if you will, where I quit it cold turkey. I missed, parts of the NCAA tournament. I didn't watch a hockey game. Nothing. I didn't listen to a podcast. And, I'm still working through it. I still love sports. But for me, the realization of maybe never working in the industry was difficult. I'm still thinking about it. I still consider it. And there's bigger issues in the world than what I'm describing. But for people that listen to the show, and I appreciate every one of you, I just thought I'd be honest. It was the first time I've really, considered something that deep when it comes to, a huge part of my life. And I came out the other side of it thinking, I still love it. I still want to talk about it. Not preparing to do shows actually made me not like sports as much because I didn't know how to process it. I'm not rooting for any team. Still, I don't think I ever will because I can't go back to that. I was a Maple Leafs fan as a kid. I can't go back. I don't care anymore. I see the way my parents, the way my friends care about individual teams. I don't. There's a feeling of nothing, really, when it comes to that side of things. And when I'm watching it, I'm not preparing to do podcasts where I have to have an opinion on certain things and you're going through. I didn't know how to process the information. I didn't know how to take in what I was absorbing, if that makes sense. So I still need this outlet. I still need this platform to do certain things. And I'm happy to do it. And I'm going to continue to do it. We got the Stanley Cup playoffs, which begin this Saturday. Good Friday, this coming Friday, I'll be doing a podcast previewing the Stanley Cup playoffs. So stay tuned for that. I'm thinking 2 podcasts a week is kind of my new schedule. Monday, Thursday, or Monday, Friday. And we'll take it from there. I apologize for being away for that long, and you've been a loyal listener. But I had some stuff I had to figure out and think about and really ponder what's important and why do I do this? Why do I continue to do this? And those aren't fun. Those aren't fun discussions internally, externally, to certain people that tell you to continue doing it because you love it, and it doesn't necessarily have to be an avenue for revenue or an avenue for career success. And again, that can be difficult to take in. And thinking about it, I know that was coming from a place of care and a place of love from the people that I discussed this with. But it's, I'm a stubborn guy. I don't like to give up on things. But one of my biggest character flaws is I am very singularly focused. I focused on sports since the age of 4, and I've never considered anything else in the last 22 years when it comes to a career, when it comes to happiness, whatever. And I don't mean to make this first podcast back a therapy session, because I don't really know how a therapy session works, because I really only did it internally. But I don't like to give up. I don't like to concede. And for everybody who listens to this for the first 8 minutes, I apologize, because I know you're signing up to hear me talk sports. But I just wanted to express some of the things that I think about and I have thought about over the last little while. But thank you for coming back. I'm happy to be back. Life's an interesting place, that's for sure. And sports makes it a better place, better existence, if you will. And, there's no better example of that than this weekend in Augusta, Georgia. The Masters is an event on the calendar that, regardless if you like golf, if you even really like sports, I think you know about the Masters. It's, the Super Bowl. It's the World Cup. You tune in for these events regardless of if you truly care about the sport. I love golf. And going into Sunday, you get Rory McIlroy, you get Bryson DeChambeau in the final group. It really doesn't get much better than that. 2 of the best players in the world. 2 guys that, had a moment at the U.S. Open last year where Rory McIlroy threw away a major championship and gave it to Bryson DeChambeau. And the 89th edition of the Masters, to me, will be remembered as one of the best tournaments of all time. That can be viewed as hyperbolic because it's just ended. We know the story so well. Tiger winning in 2019, certainly up there. Jordan Spieth, his epic run in 2015, certainly up there. But the whirlwind that Rory McIlroy went through to ultimately win his first green jacket was crazy. Thursday, he's 3 under. So 4 under, looks really well first round. Double bogeys 15, double bogeys 17. Finishes the round, even par, 6 strokes off the lead. Goes into Friday, shoots a 6 under 66 to get him right back into contention. He's paired with Corey Connors of Canada on a Saturday. He's then 5 under in his first 5 holes. Has a couple bogeys, but then rallies and ultimately has a good end to the round. But then Bryson DeChambeau birdies 15, 17, and 18, including a 48-foot putt on 18 to finish 2 shots back. Sunday, Rory starts the day with a double bogey on 1 after an errant drive and some bad putting were tied. DeChambeau birdies the par 5 second, while Rory pars it. All of a sudden, DeChambeau is in the lead. That's when you saw Bryson DeChambeau basically leave the tournament. Bogeys on 3 and 4, while Rory had a couple of birdies. Minus 12 to minus 9, a 3-shot swing. And from that point, Bryson DeChambeau really went away. He struggled to hit fairways. His irons were not what they needed to be. And he finishes tied for 5th, shooting a 3 over 75 on Sunday. A bad round of golf. And it looked at one point like he could win the entire tournament. Rory's in control. But then he double bogeys on the par 5 13th. Minutes later, Justin Rose, birdie 14. Birdies 16 to tie Rory McIlroy. Rory, bogey on 14, down a stroke. Justin Rose, bogeys on 17. People are falling apart. Corey Connors, out of it. DeChambeau, out of it. Ludwig Auberg, in it for a second. Double bogeys, 18. But Rory, birdies on 15. Justin Rose, birdies on 18. On 17, Rory hits one of the best iron shots, and his irons were incredible. To 4 feet, putts for birdie. All he has to do is take it home. Take it home, par the 18th, you are the Masters champion. Yet, you see him put it in the bunker on his second shot in 18. A beautiful chip out, beautiful. But he misses a 6-foot putt, which means a playoff with Justin Rose. An Irishman and an Englishman. 2 good friends. Justin Rose lost in a playoff to Sergio Garcia back in 2017. And in the playoff, Justin Rose was fine. Nice drive on the fairway. Rory hits it 30 yards past him. Justin Rose with a solid shot. Decent look for birdie. Tough, but then Rory's iron puts him in such a beautiful position for birdie. An incredible shot. Justin Rose misses. Rory puts it away to win it. All of that drama was one day. Rory's reaction, falling to his knees, embracing his caddy, throwing his hat as he leaves the green. It was just real. It was raw. And he was not afraid to show what it meant to him to finally break that curse and win the green jacket. He's finally got the career Grand Slam. He had not won a major in over a decade, and he wins the one he wanted the most. You see him embrace his daughter, embrace his wife. Shane Lowry, his good buddy, giving him a bear hug. Everything was perfect for Rory. He almost lost it, but he didn't. That's the important thing to remember. He found a way to win. He's the best golfer of his generation. He's incredible. And now he gets to go back to Augusta for the rest of his life. You win the tournament, you get to go back. The major pressure is off of him. He's won another one. He's done what Tiger's done. Win everywhere. It's April 14th. He's already won 3 tournaments this year. He's won the American Express, he's won the Players, and he's won the Masters. He's having a Scotty Scheffler type season. It was sports at its finest. It was theater. It had drama. It had intrigue. It had incredible shots. That's what you want to tune in for. Those type of moments, those type of displays. Credit to Jim Nantz, I thought, on the call for letting it breathe. While Rory walked to hand in his scorecard and ultimately get the green jacket, they hardly said anything. They just let it be. It was great, bro, and it's no surprise. Jim Nantz is class. Jim Nantz is as good as it gets. He's not, some of the marks that work at other places. Sportsnet, for example. Leo's perfect. Not to mention you have Bryson DeChambeau, who says after the round, Rory just didn't talk to him the whole round. This is even better. You need rivalries in sports. Just because you play around together doesn't mean you have to get along. Doesn't mean that you need to talk to the other guy. Rory was focused on winning. He needed this tournament. And he handled it the way he wanted to handle it. I don't blame him for that whatsoever. You handle your business the way you want to handle your business. Bryson brought it up. Clearly, he wasn't happy. But you have a PGA Tour guy, you have a LIV guy. You have two guys with big personalities, two guys that are confident and cocky in their own way. If these two don't get along, fantastic. If they do, that's okay, but it's better that they don't, because when they meet in majors, there's 3 more majors this year. PGA Championship in Quail Hollow in May, which is, it's May, it might be May 15th to 18th in Quail Hollow. They'll get to see each other again. If I ran the tournament, they'd be in the same group Thursday and Friday. They won't do it because they're cowards the way they run these events. But it's fantastic. There's juice there. Rory Mcilroy, is he better than Scottie Scheffler? Another talking point. Another discussion. Scottie Scheffler's putting has been awful all year. Wasn't any good at Augusta. Sure, he finished in the top 5, finished solo 4th, but he was never close to winning. How about Patrick Reed finishing 3rd, -9? Won at Augusta before, did not see that coming because he's really been an irrelevant force because he's been on the LIV Tour for a while now. And nobody likes him and nobody wants to play with him because he's a cheat and he's just seems a bit of a prick. But again, intrigue. Golf's in a good place where they have stars, but there's so many good players on the PGA Tour. Ludwig Åberg is going to win a green jacket before his career is over. He's only 25. He finished 7th in his second Masters. He was the runner-up last year. He didn't have it. But he absolutely is going to win a green jacket. He's going to win multiple majors because he's too damn talented not to. Bryson, Rory, Scheffler, Morikawa, Corey Connors. A real solid effort from him. Didn't have a good Sunday. He never does at majors. But he's had a very good season so far. He's dialed in. He's threatening every time he plays. Just didn't have a day on Sunday. It's hard to. It's hard to win. That's the thing. I mean, Colin Morikawa, great golfer, hasn't won in almost 3 years. And he's phenomenal. Hasn't won in almost 3 years. Rory McIlroy didn't win a major for almost 11. Rory McIlroy. Tom Brady didn't win a Super Bowl for 10 years. I mean, it happens to the best. It's so hard to win. And yet, the great ones find a way to win sometimes. Because you got Rory. Just think about this. He just won Augusta. He's scheduled to play this weekend. But as I say that, he's withdrawn. I don't blame him. But it's this coming weekend, it's my favorite course on the PGA Tour. The RBC Heritage in Hilton Head, South Carolina. I think I like the course so much because I can see myself living there. Seems like a beautiful spot, South Carolina. Go Gamecocks. But it's a lovely course. Scottie Scheffler won the Masters, then won the RBC Heritage last year. He went back-to-back. But you have all these guys who just played Augusta. Xander Schauffele, Scotty Scheffler, Ludwig Aberg. It's an elevated event. The best players in the world are playing this upcoming weekend. Schauffele, Morikawa, Justin Rose, Ludwig Aberg, Russell Henley, Victor Hovland, Corey Connors, Brian Harman, Shane Lowry, JT, all playing. Love it. Keep it going. Ride the momentum a little over a month until the next major. It was a phenomenal weekend. I got to spend time with some friends. Celebrated former co-host Seamus's birthday. Happy birthday to Seamus. Happy birthday month. Because we're not done celebrating. Birthday month. 28 years young somehow for the baby boy. 28. He's older than me, but he feels like, feels like the baby boy just because he's a skinny little guy. But great to see him. Casey Ward, who's been on this podcast before, Cole McDonald, who made it there and home in one piece. Great to see friends, great to see family. And it's great just to watch the Masters every year. You know it's coming. That certain weekend. Phenomenal stuff. So, you have these great golf tournaments. The NHL, by the way, regular season ends Thursday evening, which means the playoffs start on Saturday. There are still things to be decided. Playoff matchups, seeding, who's going to win the MVP. I have a thought. So I want to go through a couple things that went on while I was gone. But there's a big piece of news that I'd like to touch on that I think is really important. That I think is kind of flying under the radar a little bit. A couple weeks ago, the NHL and Rogers announced a 12-year NHL TV deal, a multi-billion-dollar deal, which will keep the NHL rights under the Sportsnet umbrella in Canada for the foreseeable future. So the NHL with Sportsnet up here, they are with TNT, ESPN, Amazon Prime on Monday nights in the US of A and Canada. Well, why is this a big deal? I think it's a big deal on multiple fronts. First of all, they got a lot of money from Rogers, which is a great thing for the league because I do think the league is in a healthy place. The salary cap is going to be moving up the next 3 to 4 years. I do think the game is producing a lot of stars. I think you're seeing a good product. Over the last week or so, not so much, but the regular season's almost over. So let's get through these next 4 nights of crap games. Just be honest, a lot of crap, a lot of filler. But let's get through it, get to the playoffs. Hopefully the first round delivers. That's what the league has to be thinking. So them getting the money, which will increase revenue, check. It's massive. You need it from somebody. It's either going to come from TSN or Sportsnet. So the money itself isn't the interesting thing to me. Although it's great for the league. The interesting thing here with Rogers and the NHL TV deal is they got the money, but I don't think it's great for the overall fan and the overall product of watching a game. What do I mean by that? Well, way back when, TSN used to have the hockey rights. Gord Miller, Ray Ferraro, they were the lead voices in Canada. You had, some analysts that were good. They brought in Torch, you bring in Paul Maurice when the playoffs ended. And I think TSN overall did a pretty good job. Now, when you lose the NHL rights, you have to pivot, and they got seasonal games, regional games with the Montreal Canadiens, Ottawa Senators, Toronto Maple Leafs, Winnipeg Jets. So all positives on that front. So you still have some games on your network, just not as many as Sportsnet. But when Sportsnet got the rights, Sportsnet had the most popular show, the most popular podcast in the NHL. Of all the NHL shows, this is so much better than Spittin' Chicklets was. And again, Spittin' Chicklets, people, you love it. I get it. I don't know. Pardon that. I don't really get it because I don't watch it. But if you like it, some people like crap. Some people liked White Lotus season 3. So, I mean, there's going to be people out there that consume, crap. But that remains to, that is what it is. Hockey Central at noon was the best sports show in Canada, period. It was the best hockey show anywhere in the world. With Darren Millard, with Doug MacLean, Nick Kyprios, Colby Armstrong. They had the best show. Sportsnet bought the rights. And a season later, Darren Millard left to go work in Vegas. Doug MacLean was fired, and Nick Kyprios was fired. Colby Armstrong was fired, then rehired. But their best show, their gem product that players listen to, and it was great because if you were a Leaf fan, they talked about the Leafs for half an hour every day. Even still, it was the best. Since then, and this is a harsh criticism, but I don't care anymore because they're not going to hire me. So why should I give a shit? Their product and the people that they put on TV suck, quite frankly. Ron MacLean, God love him, he's still on, but he makes references to 1964 and drinking beer at a better time. And quite frankly, nobody gives a shit about his stories anymore because they're not interesting and just get to the fucking point. Kevin Bieksa is their golden goose. He's okay. He's pretty. Put him on the panel. He's got a good, nice tan. No, he's no Doug MacLean or Nick Kyprios. He's there. But they've hired cheap people that aren't that good at media. Mike Fuda was a good executive. He's not good on TV. Sam Cosentino. I love promoting positivity and saying that everybody's great at an NHL draft. But newsflash, they're not. They're not. Not everybody's great. But yet, for him, everybody is. Justin Bourne, who's now on a show with Nick Kyprios that doesn't have a host. And they have a third guy that they allow on there that just barks whatever the hell he's doing. I don't think they provide the greatest analysis. I don't think they provide good podcasts. I don't think it helps promote the game well. Just one guy's opinion. Some guy might watch my podcast and go, this guy sucks. He's too negative. Fair. If I'm fine with that. If that's the point, okay, I can take that. But I can also look at Sportsnet and go, they're lazy. They cut jobs. They fire really good people that are actually good at the job, that are actually interesting to listen to. And by the way, when they hire people to do games, they have Chris Cuthbert, who's amazing. But they have a fucking Mark and Craig Simpson, who's just a Leaf ass kisser who calls every fucking Leaf game. Joe Bowen doesn't do national games. Craig Simpson is a former Oiler who has either gotten paid well enough or is that much of a fucking loon that he's just becoming Mark if you listen to him call a game. So to me, this is a big deal because it's just the game's Canada's game. And I don't think they do a good job. Blue Jays, I think they do a really good job because they got Dan Schulman. Blair and Barker, really good show on Sportsnet. Really good podcast. If you like the Jays, listen to Blair and Barker. 100%. So I'm not just criticizing them as a whole because I think in other sports they do a good job. The Tim and Sid show was broken up. Wasn't my favorite, but I like it more than anything they have going. They weren't able to replace it. Now you have Tim doing highlights every night. He's not Ken Reed. You know? It's unfortunate because I think TSN has way better personalities. Overdrive on TSN's a very good show. It is. It's funny. They connect well. They have really good chemistry. Is it overboard Homer? Yeah. But unfortunately, my dream of getting that from media personalities is never going to happen, which is a whole other story for another day. Can't always get what we want in life. But and let me know in the if you think their product is awesome, tell me why. I'd love to hear an opposite opinion. I just don't. I watch and I go, there's a reason. I like to watch games on mute because I don't like to hear other people's opinions because I know my opinion. I don't need to hear theirs. But I listen, NFL Live is a great show on ESPN. Really informative. You learn. Dan Orlovsky's a fantastic analyst. Fantastic. Greg Olson calling a game. Love him. Will turn it on. Troy Aikman. Joe Buck. That's gold standard. It's as good as it gets. Ray Ferraro is the best in hockey at calling a game. Him and Sean McDonough, and Sean McDonough is so good at calling hockey. Really, he's gotten so much better. I don't think he wasn't great at calling the NFL with Gruden, but he's great at college and he's great at calling hockey. 100%. But this, Mark Craig Simpson, it's a disappointment to me because I just think they could be doing better. And they fired more good people than they've hired good people. Just when it comes to, they could be great. They could donate their kidneys, whatever. I'm just talking about the overall presentation of the sport. Just one guy's opinion. So that was a big deal to me, them keeping the rights, because it keeps it where it always is. And that's been mediocrity for a good minute. Other NHL storylines. Gabriel Landeskog is playing hockey. He has not played an NHL game since the Stanley Cup final in 2022 when the Avalanche won. Multiple surgeries, rehabs, trying to come back. Has played 2 AHL games, scored a goal on Saturday night. Had Cale Makar, Nathan McKinnon, Andrew Cogliano all in attendance to see him play. He's still their captain. Seems to be loved in the locker room. It's a great story. I'd love to see him come back. If he was able to play when the postseason starts on Saturday, that's phenomenal. That's incredible stuff. And you have Colorado where, McKinnon's been banged up and they've had some injuries, and they've kind of known they're going to be playing Dallas for a while now. And that's a storyline in and of itself around the league, because you have, Colorado in this position, Dallas in this position, Carolina and New Jersey have been, on a collision course for some time. Edmonton and LA have basically known they're going to be playing each other for a good while. So I think you're seeing some teams kind of limp to the finish, limp to the end here, hoping to stay as healthy as possible, hoping to have some success and flip the switch when the playoffs begin. But then you have, Edmonton Friday night playing San Jose, and Matthias Ekholm leaves the game, and Chris Knobloch announced today that he will miss at least the entirety of the first round and could be out longer. This is a season ender for me. Edmonton's going to be going into a series against LA where, if they play each other tonight, if LA wins, they will lock up home ice advantage. They still likely will. But if they get a win tonight, they will lock up home ice. Matthias Ekholm just settles everybody down. Keeps everybody in the right place. Plays 24 to 26 minutes a night. Makes Evan Bouchard tolerable. Without him, they are extremely thin. Means that Brett Kulak's going to be playing more minutes, which is not a good thing. Looking at, their team, Kulak, Bouchard, Emberson, Cam Dineen played last night. Darnell Nurse going to have to play big minutes. Troy Stetcher. That's their sixth defense. No Cody Ceci. No Philip Broberg. You saw them in the Stanley Cup final last year and you go, that team's going to get back. That team needs to stay the course, make a few moves. They're so close to winning. They're not. I don't think. McDavid's been banged up all for a long time. Draisaitl's been banged up for a long time. And while they've beaten LA 3 years in a row, and they're going to meet for a fourth straight year in the postseason. Doesn't guarantee anything. LA is a better team than they were last year. They have better goaltending than they did last year. They defend better. I think it's a hard-fought series, and we'll preview it more on Friday. But without Ekholm, if Edmonton is a favorite, it'll be slight. LA just knows how to play. They play incredibly well at home. They've lost 7 home games all year at the Crypt. No longer the Staples Center, now the Crypto.com. They just win there. They find a way. Byfield's heating up towards the end of the year. You got guys that just know how to play. Doughty can still hang. Can still play the most minutes in the league at age 35. And play those minutes incredibly well. It's a fun series, but without Ekholm, it's hard to see how the Oilers are going to go deep in the playoffs, let alone beat the Los Angeles Kings. I mentioned the matchups. Carolina, New Jersey will likely be the most yada-yada series of the opening round. A series that nobody cares about. But yet you got Carolina that shipped out Mikko Rantanen, that has an opportunity to go to back-to-back conference finals in a weak Metropolitan Division against a team in Washington that nobody trusts. So we'll see. You got Dallas, Colorado. This series is not going to feature a Canadian team, so it won't get the attention that a Toronto series will. It won't get the attention that Edmonton series will. That if and when Montreal clinches, the Montreal Canadiens series will get. But Dallas, Colorado will be the best series in the opening round, no doubt about it, to me. Because both these teams are better than any team in the Eastern Conference. And I'm going to repeat that. Dallas and Colorado are better than any team in the East. Tampa, Toronto, Florida, I don't care. Name one. I think these two teams are better than those teams. Dallas is so deep. Dallas was my pick to win the Stanley Cup before the season started, defeating Florida in the Stanley Cup final. I will update that Friday, but I still really like Dallas. They can roll 4 lines. They check hard. No Heiskanen hurts a lot. But they do have good depth. They promote from within. They draft as well as any team in the league. And you have Colorado, who Nathan MacKinnon might win back-to-back MVPs. They add so much at the trade deadline. Charlie Coyle comes in. Rantanen's gone. You get Jack Drury. Brock Nelson on an expiring deal. Fits in. Marty Neckash has fit in well with Nathan MacKinnon on that line. Not to mention you have Cale Makar, who will win the Norris Trophy and is just a freak of nature in his own right. It's the modern-day Bobby Orr. This series has everything that you would want. 2 teams that can win a Stanley Cup. But one will be gone in the first round. You can look at that as a sin, something horrible. How the hell is this happening? Or while we get to watch this in mid-April. I choose to look at it in a positive way because you're going to see incredible hockey. And that leaves a bunch of teams. And there's games this week. Toronto is going to win the Atlantic because they will win one of their final 2 games against Buffalo and Detroit. Actually, I think they'll win both of them. So Toronto's going to win the Atlantic Division, meaning Florida will play Tampa. Tampa will likely host in this scenario. So you get Tampa, Florida, you get the Battle of Florida. The 2 teams that have dominated the Stanley Cup final in the Eastern Conference for the last 5-6 years will meet up. 2 teams that hate one another, 2 teams that want to cave each other's skull in. 2 teams that met last year. Florida won in the first round. Tampa gets chance at revenge. Florida hoping on Tkachuk. Ekblad in Game 3. A banged-up Sam Bennett. They're starting to get people back. Bobrovsky's playing good between the pipes, but you also have Tampa where Point's still there, Kucherov's still there, Vasilevsky's playing really good hockey. Jake Gensel's been awesome. You never know. Then you have Ottawa in the playoffs for the first time since 2017. I'm happy for them. I predicted they would make the playoffs before the season started. I'm glad they proved me right because that team likes to shit the bed. They are going to be the first wild card, and I think they're going to play the Leafs. You're going to get the Battle of Ontario for the first time since 2004. I remember 2004 vividly because I was still a Leaf fan then, and it was a series that the Leafs actually won. Patrick Aleem was a gas can for the Senators. Wade Redden, Daniel Effertson, Darcy Tucker flying out there. The Leafs have never lost a playoff series to Ottawa in their history. They dominate them. Like I said, it's been over 20 years. There's intrigue there. There's interest. Ottawa plays really well against Toronto. This iteration of the Ottawa Senators does. Linus Ullmark, can he show up in a playoff game? Didn't play all that well in Boston, although he was on the winning side of beating Toronto many times when he was there, whether he was in the net or not. But Toronto-Ottawa would be fun. Toronto, a big favorite with pressure to not only win a round, but looking at the season, saying to themselves, why can't it be us that gets to a Stanley Cup final out of the East? Because anybody of the teams I just named, not name Montreal, because Montreal is not going to do it this year. They will clinch, but I don't think they will go very far. Montreal, outside of them, and maybe New Jersey just because of injuries and people they've lost. Dougie Hamilton, Jack Hughes. They're just missing too many key pieces for them to have a lot of success. Outside of that, the 6 other teams could go to the Stanley Cup final, and it wouldn't stun me. Could it be Toronto? Sure. Carolina? Why not? Washington? Sure. Tampa? You bet. That's intriguing. Out west? LA, Edmonton. No 2 teams know each other better. The 4th straight year that they're meeting. Edmonton is 3-0. Edmonton knows how to beat LA. But Edmonton has been banged up. They've played a lot of hockey. They're a different team than they were in past years. Connor McDavid hasn't had the year that he's had in the past. Dallas, Colorado. Mentioned it. Awesome. Vegas. Winnipeg wins the President's Trophy, wins the West. As of right now, Winnipeg would play St. Louis. I'd rather play Minnesota. So I think Minnesota's a good team. I think St. Louis is a scary team. Playoffs are going to be fun. This week, not as fun. Some games where, quite frankly, who cares? But you watch baseball instead, or you watch the NBA playing games, catch up on golf, binge watch a series, Bosch Legacy maybe. If you've never seen Bosch Legacy, give it a watch Bosch and then watch Bosch Legacy. It's a great show. Who's the MVP of the NHL? It's this ring around the rosy of McKinnon, Kucherov. We could give it to either of those two guys pretty easily. Leon, who is going to win the Rocket. Do you give it to Ovi? Because he set the record. We'll get to him in a minute. No. To me, the MVP of the league, and it's not that difficult this year, is Connor Hellebuyck. .46 wins now. 7th goalie ever to have more than 45 wins in a season in the history of the league. 8 shutouts, more than 26 teams combined with both their goaltenders. He's going to win his 3rd Vezina trophy. He's going to go back-to-back with the Vezinas. His playoff stats are irrelevant when you look at MVP. Different times, different seasons. McKinnon won it last year. And I don't like the argument being he won it last year, he can't win it 2 years in a row. Because he absolutely can. That logic is stupid. But if I'm comparing, McKinnon is in the same division as Hellebuyck, and his team finished 3rd, and Hellebuck's team finished 1st. And Hellebuck's team won the best team in the league. So was he more valuable to Colorado than Hellebuyck was to Winnipeg? They have 12 more points. And Colorado's played their last game. Their season's over. They have a week off. So, no, I would say it's 100% not the same. Hellebuyck, more valuable. Same argument. If you go and look at Edmonton, Edmonton is going to finish 3rd in the Pacific. Leon, great year. But you finish 3rd in the Pacific. That's not as difficult as the Central. I see here, aside from Hellebuyck, Leon is ahead of Mac Daddy MVP. I would agree. I would agree with that. I think Draisaitl, it's Hellebuyck 1, and it's high up above everybody else. I'd have Leon 2, Kucherov 3, and then McKinnon. Kucherov is just great every year, and he can be overlooked. But he's a phenomenal talent, and he's so smart, and he's the best power play player in the league. 100%. best. If you want to watch a great power, just watch a power play and just zero in on one player and how to do it. It's Kucherov. It's like he could teach a master class on how to perform on the power play. He's that good at it. But they don't like to give it to goalies, which is strange. And I've always made this correlation to the quarterback always wins the MVP, the most important position. The most important position in hockey is goalie. Yes, goalies are weird people, and they're kind of antisocial, and you kind of don't want to hang out with them after. Sorry, but they are. They're a different breed. But they're the most important player. Most important position on the team, period. So why wouldn't they be given the respect? They should be. They should get respect. Maybe Jose Theodore winning the year against again when he shouldn't, and because those idiots in Quebec and those Montreal media members voted for Theodore and didn't even put Iginla on their ballot because they're idiots, that might hurt it. Okay? I can see that-ish. But it doesn't excuse stupidity from the other end as well, going, oh, we're never going to vote for goalies again. To me, Hellebuyck's MVP. It's not a tough vote. To me, it's a wide margin. There's him, and then there's the gulf below. You could have McKinnon, Kucherov, Leon. You could have a list of guys. And relax. Oilers getting bounced first round by LA. Well, I mean, Casey, that's, as an Oilers fan, I don't like to see the confidence. That's, it's very much Leafs type behavior. And that's something I know you don't like to subscribe to. So I would just say, you better check yourself before you wreck yourself, because you never know with the Oilers. Not a chance. Oilers in 6. Stuart Skinner does scare me as well. But you have Calvin Pickard on the roster. Fredericton, New Brunswick own Calvin Pickard. But no Ekholm hurts them a ton. Like I said, Friday morning, we'll be doing a full breakdown of the postseason matchups, what to look for, picks for the year. I had Dallas, Florida, Stanley Cup final. I still feel good about that, by the way. Might change that, might not. We'll see. Both teams could lose in the first round easily. Both teams could win in 7 in the first round and have an easier second round, potentially. But there's a lot of intrigue there. A lot. Like I said, this week in the NHL, it's a bit of a, this week kind of correlates to the time of year. It's very much, it's a Passover. It's a Passover type week. Shout out to the Jewish community. It's a Passover type week where you're like, yeah, there's a game tonight. Prime Video, whatever it is. I'm sure it's going to be riveting between Chicago, Montreal. You can watch Demidov play. Montreal wins, they clinch. But I mean, watching Chicago is like watching, your aunt fuck your. It's like I was gonna say, it was like watching your aunt fuck your uncle. But I mean, that's might be a bit harsh. But I mean, they're not a fun team to watch. But Demidov coming over, that's a fun story, fun player. Montreal making the playoffs, playing Washington. They don't have I don't think they'll win. They don't have a sub-zero chance, though. But also, before we wrap tonight, I have to do this. And there's friends in my life that I know will side with my opinion on this, have my back, and namely one of them, Casey Ward in the comments. Good guy. Alex Ovechkin set a record, if you didn't hear, a couple weeks ago. Became the all-time goal king. Sends over Leafs. Tune in Friday to find out. Maybe, maybe not. It'll be a close series. I'll tell you this, a team from Ontario is going to win that series. That's my overall breakdown. That's my in-depth analysis. But back to Alex Ovechkin. People don't like him for some reason. Russian ties, political opinions. He's not Sidney Crosby. Scored another goal yesterday, and he's up to, 896 now? 896 goals. That's while 2 work stoppages in his and Anthony Fauci fucking with his career and fucking with all of us a couple of years ago. This thing called a pandemic, also known as COVID. And Wayne Gretzky was pure class, because that's what he is. The gold standard, Canadian, friends with a certain political leader that I have no problem with. But it was the rhetoric around it. It didn't seem like anybody was overly ecstatic. People were grimacing seeing him do it. I said this in a Facebook post. He didn't need the record to be the greatest goal scorer of all time because he already was. But now he is. He's an icon. He's the greatest goal scorer ever. He broke Wayne Gretzky's record. Something that would never be touched. I think it's going to be a long time before anybody breaks his. Because nobody had the longevity that he did when it comes to staying healthy and just powering through and continuing to score goals. Period. Austin Matthews, a great goal scorer. He's hurt all the time. Hurt constantly. And do you want to play until you're 40? Can you play that many games? Tricky situation. I love him. I wore number 8 growing up because of him. Him and Jaromir Jagr. Jagr with 68. 2 guys that were both built like machines that just didn't break down. If he didn't break his leg, he would have won the Rocket Richard this year at age 39, turning 40 in September. He would be in the mid-50s for goals this year if he did not break his leg at that age. While Washington is winning the East. Best record. Crazy. Couple teams to keep an eye on. New York Rangers. Going to be changes. Player-wise, also, I think Peter Laviolette's out as soon as Friday. Maybe that'll break before we do the podcast. I think he's fired, not because it's his fault, but because that team was just such a disaster this year. They have to make some changes. So, New York Rangers. Second team to keep an eye on for me. Buffalo. They're not going to fire Lindy Ruff after 1 year. At least I don't think so. But 14 straight years of missing the playoffs. Another just disaster. They play well towards the end of the year. Something has to give there. Something has to change. The people of Buffalo deserve better. Quite frankly. Chicago. They're going to need to hire a new coach. They're going to need to get better talent. but they need to be smart about it, not just throw big contracts at average players, because then you won't get better anytime soon. But Bedard had an awful year. That team is terrible, and they need to do something quick. And this isn't even a team. It's Rick Tocchet. Vancouver misses the playoffs. What's next for him? He has an option to leave Vancouver, get out of the contract. Does he want to go back to Philly to coach the team that he was a legend on? Now, that team sucks. But you got Michkov, you have Jet Luchenko, you have younger talent that you hope can get better soon. Doesn't mean they will. A lot of growing pains. But he's also looking in the mirror going, I got Elias Pettersson here who I can't stand, who's a pain in my ass every day, and he doesn't seem to be getting any better. Do I want to go back to Philly? Do I want to explore my options? Could he get the Rangers job? Maybe. There's options for Rick Tocchet, I believe. And tied to that, I also look at Joel Quenneville, because I think Joel Quenneville will be a head coach again. I do think he'll get a job this offseason. If Tocchet doesn't get it in Philly, I think it could be Joel Quenneville. Just a thought. Marner to the Sabres, absolutely could happen. Could happen. That's it for tonight. Friday, full playoff discussion, breakdown, preview, Stanley Cup picks. The NBA playoffs also start on Saturday, so we'll talk a bit about that towards the tail end. Playing games this week as well for the NBA. Great to be back. Great to be talking to all of you. Thank you for the guys in the chat for joining in. Love it. Do that every podcast. Send us your thoughts. We'll read them on the air. Until Friday, enjoy your week, everybody. Take care. Stay safe. I'm your host, Noah Warren, and this is the Live and Learn podcast.